And rather than being caught into differences of madahib, of the way we should be praying, or the way should be dressing, or the way should be doing this or should be doing that, we should be more focused on more relevant issues. And I'm not disputing the fact that we should be rooting ourselves and broadening our perspective, enriching our knowledge of the deen of Allah Azza wa Jal, but at the same time be more aware of the surroundings we're living in. How many of you know that now there's a bill passed and it's going to be taking an effect and enforced actually in 30 days, which is called convergent therapy? How many of you know that this is happening right now? And how many of you know the consequences of such a bill on the effect on the impact of it on our children? In a nutshell, I will be no longer standing in the member talking about how the actions of Qawm Lut is forbidden in Islam. And I'll be no longer, as an imam or a psychotherapist, be able to provide counseling to teens of Islam whose parents come to me because their child is brainwashed. And I could comfortably say that, because there's difference between someone's gender identity being confused, or quote unquote, and they're trying to figure out their identity, and being influenced by the barrage of information and the constant brainwashing through media, social media, different outlets of media, to make young people more confused of how they should be free of choosing whatever identity they want, regardless of what Allah the Mighty had given to them. And Islam does not hold you accountable for your inner feelings, but rather for your own actions. Allah created this life in certain way, in which by Allah created males and females. وَمِن كُلِّ شَيْءٍ خَلَقْنَا زَوْجَيْنِ اثْنَيْنِ لَعَلَّكُمْ تَذَكَّرُونَ. And this is what will sustain livelihood, not only of a human, but other species that Allah have created, or other things that even in general Allah have created. The sustain and livelihood will be maintained by the male and female concept. So when we disable that and we try to change the fitrah of Allah Azza wa Jal, then there are consequences. And we need not to be naive, or to be blind, or to be I'm not going to be using a heavy word, and forget what happened in the past to those who came before us. The story of Sodom, the story of Qawm Lut alayhi salam, is presented in the Quran as it is presented in the previous scripts, and no one can dispute it, no one can deny it. And we as Muslimin believe strongly and firmly in the teachings of the Quran, because there is nothing to make us have doubts about the authenticity of the Quran. But at the same time, we need to be able to freely or be able to teach the teachings of Quran and the teachings of Islam to our children. We need to be able to help young people who have issues in their identity to be able to understand the perspectives of, or the broad perspective of what they're going through, and get the right counseling that would help them. And I'm not talking in illusions, I'm not talking about theories, I'm talking about issues that I have personally got involved in, and I have faced the challenge of trying to help young individuals who are contemplating, or not only contemplating, they're actually planning and taking actions of changing their gender and identity, despite of the opposing from their own families. And regardless of how much counseling we provide for them, there are those who on the other side provide for them the financial assistance, the emotional support, quote unquote, to help them stick on what they believe in, despite of what they're sticking in or doing against the moral values of their deen. These are things that we need to be aware of. These are things that we need to deal with as a community, as parents. There are more critical and dangerous things our children are going through that we need to be aware of, first of all. Second, take actions. NCCM, a national organization, have taken upon its responsibility to be a watchdog in our community to what is happening around us and help us be able to be aware of it and take actions. So if you haven't subscribed or you're not aware of the actions or the work of NCCM, the National Council of Canadian Muslims, then I think it's worth it to take the time, look into their website, subscribe to their newsletters, and be members or recipient of their actions, whether it's on on the website or emails or through different social media outlets, and help them to be able to make it possible for us to maintain our identity and defend our rights and the rights of others who are around us. Because after all, that's what we are created for. That's what Allah has created us for in this dunya. And my talk was supposed to be today related to the remembrance of birth of Isa, because there's a series of talks I have been talking about from the beginning of December, and those who are following my YouTube channel will be able to get the perspective and catch the thread and the ideas. My last khutbah topic was ذُرِّيَّةً بَعْضُهَا مِنْ بَعْضٍ, how Allah Azza wa Jal have honored for us the family Adam alayhi salam and Nuh being the second father of humanity, and Ibrahim alayhi salam the father of all the prophets, and then Ali Imran, and what was the reason for honoring Ali Imran, and how Allah Azza concluded that ayah by ذُرِّيَّةً بَعْضُهَا مِنْ بَعْضٍ وهو إنه ذُرِّيَّةً بَعْضُهَا مِنْ بَعْضٍ وَاللَّهُ سَمِيعٌ عَلِيمٌ. How Allah Azza Jal is Samir, hearing to your dua, alim about your own actions. The dua of Zakaria alayhi salam in the Quran, Rabbi wahana al-'azmu minni, hunalika da'a Zakaria rabbah. Dua of Ibrahim alayhi salam, habli min al-salihin. Your dua count for the salah for yourselves and the salah of your dhurriyyah. And alim about your actions. أما جدار فكان لغلامين يتيمين في المدينة وأما أبوهما فكان صالحا. As for the wall that was about to collapse, and Musa alayhi salam and the Khidr, the righteous man, helped to rebuild it, was for children whose father or great grandfather, as the Mufassirin said, was conscious, and they built it because they want to save for them their own treasures. Allah Azza wa Jal also talked about Yahya, Zakaria alayhi salam, in وَأَصْلَحْنَا لَهُ زَوْجَهُ إِنَّهُمْ كَانُوا يُسَارِعُونَ فِي الْخَيْرَاتِ وَيَدْعُونَنَا رَغَبًا وَرَهَبًا وَكَانُوا لَنَا خَاشِعِينَ. Subhanallah, إِنَّهُمْ كَانُوا يُسَارِعُونَ فِي الْخَيْرَاتِ. They used to hasten and rush not to the khayrat, but within the khayrat. Meaning to say, they were competing with others in doing the khayr and the good for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jalla. وَكَانُوا يَدْعُونَنَا رَغَبًا وَرَهَبًا. And they used to pray and supplicate to us, رغب and rahab, out of fear, out of love. وَكَانُوا لَنَا خَاشِعِينَ. They were submissive, khashia to us. And I did put this into the context of the ayat from Surah Al-Ahzab, إن المسلمين والمسلمات والمؤمنين والمؤمنات والصادقين والصادقات والصابرين والصابرات والخاشعين والخاشعات, and then المتصدقين والمتصدقات والصائمين والصائمات. How this is a status that you are able to supplement and rise to be able to achieve. And when you are in the state of khushu', your dua is more accepted and heard by Allah Azza wa Jal. This is what we need to be mindful and aware of as parents. Our dua count. Our actions and good deeds at what would be helpful for our children. It would make a huge difference. This is what Allah said and described and introduced in Surah Al Imran. And then comes after that Surah Maryam alayhi salam to portray a beautiful description to what al-amalu salih, righteousness and good deeds, and a dua will do into action of the life of people. How Zakaria alayhi salam, إذ نادى ربه نداء خفيا رب إني وهن العظم مني واشتعل الرأس شيبا. As a result of his dua, Allah Azza wa Jalla, Ya Zakaria, إنا نبشرك بغلام اسمه يحيى لم نجعل له من قبل سميا وحنانا من لدنا وزكاة وكان تقيا وبرا بوالديه ولم يكن جبارا عصيا والسلام عليه يوم ولد ويوم يموت ويوم يبعث حيا. Allahu Akbar. After the story of Yahya, the son of Zakaria, was introduced, the story of Maryam alayha salam, whose the birth of her own son is an ayah. وَنَجْعَلَهُ آيَةً لِلنَّاسِ وَرَحْمَةً مِنَّا وَكَانَ أَمْرًا مَقْضِيًّا. Afterwards, Allah has introduced the story of Ibrahim in the context of dealing with his own father. يَا أَبَتِ يَا أَبَتِ يَا أَبَتِ فَلَمَّا اعْتَزَلَهُمْ وَمَا يَعْبُدُونَ مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ وَهَبْنَا لَهُ إِسْحَاقَ وَيَعْقُوبَ وَكُلًّا جَعَلْنَا نَبِيًّا وَجَعَلْنَا لَهُم لِسَانَ الصِّدْقِ وَكُلًّا جَعَلْنَا نَبِيًّا وَوَهَبْنَا لَهُم مِّن رَّحْمَتِنَا وَجَعَلْنَا لَهُم لِسَانَ ذِكْرٍ عَلِيًّا. Allahu Akbar. أولئك الذين أنعم الله عليهم من النبيين من ذرية آدم وممن حملنا مع نوح ومن ذرية إبراهيم وإسحاق ويعقوب وممن اجتبينا وهدينا واصطفينا إذا تتلى عليهم آيات الرحمن. سبحان الله. ذرية بعضها من بعض وأولئك الذين أنعم الله عليهم من النبيين. Allah is saying to us, Allah will be selecting, will be choosing those who are righteous, and the prophets were selected. There is a concept for the salah and consciousness of your children. It starts from you. It's a project you start. And at the same time, Allah Azza will be blessing your children. That's, as Allah Azza said about Yahya, وَحَنَانًا مِن لَدُنَّا وَزَكَاةً وَكَانَ تَقِيًّا وَبَرًّا بِوَالِدَيْهِ يَحْيَى خُذِ الْكِتَابَ بِقُوَّةٍ. Oh Yahya, hold tightly the book of Allah Azza, the script that is at his time. وَيَا يَحْيَى خُذِ الْكِتَابَ بِقُوَّةٍ وَآتَيْنَاهُ الْحُكْمَ صَبِيًّا. And we gave him the wisdom early in his life. وَحَنَانًا. And on the top of all that, as a result of the dua of his both mother and father, and as a result of the actions يُسَارِعُونَ فِي الْخَيْرَاتِ of father and mother, Allah Azza said to him, وَحَنَانًا مِن لَدُنَّا. Allahu Akbar. What's Hanan? Hanan is what the mother gives to the child in vulnerable situations. When a child feels insecure, they look for their mothers and they rush and they run to her, and she opens her arms to welcome them in her heart, and she gives them Hanan. That's what Hanan is. I don't know what's the appropriate English language for it. Hanan is the comfort, the rahmah that the mother will be pouring on her child to comfort him. The same is what Khadija radiallahu anha gave to Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam after he saw Jibreel alayhi salam and came saying, Zammiluni, Zammiluni. He was shivering, he was distorted. She hugged him and gave him Hanan. The Hanan of Yahya was not an average Hanan, was Hananan min ladunna, from Allah Azza wa Jalla Almighty. A special Hanan. Hananan min ladunna wa zakatan. And Allah purified him. قد أفلح من تزكى وذكر اسم ربه فصلى بل تؤثرون الحياة الدنيا والآخرة خير وأبقى قل هل لك إلى أن تزكى وأهديك إلى ربك فتخشى. As Allah Azza wa Jalla asked Musa alayhi salam to speak to Fir'aun la'natullahi alayhi, softly and gently and kindly, so that, and tell him هل لك إلى أن تزكى. Purified. The one who purified Yahya alayhi salam was the mighty Allah Azza wa Jalla. وحنانا من لدنا وزكاة وكان تقيا. He was taqi. He was conscious. He was not only taqi cosmetically from the outside appearance. It does not matter how beautiful your thawb is. It does not matter how long your beard is. It does not matter how you might look in front of people. What matters is what's in your subconscious. What matters is what you do when you are alone by yourself and you had a chance to do ma'asiyah and you say, Astaghfirullah. And you say, Ma'adallah, innahu rabbi ahsana mathwaya. You will be regretting and going back to your own conscience. وَكَانَ تَقِيًّا وَبَرًّا بِوَالِدَيْهِ. Allahu Akbar. He was barr. He was kind. He was generous to his own parents. Something, unfortunately, nowadays is almost disappeared in our relationship with our children. Unfortunately, we say it wallahi with pain in the heart. Our children are looking to us in the eye. Our children are talking back to us. Our children are daring us. They're being empowered to say, I can do whatever I wish. You have no control on me. I can call a phone number and this is it. This is the end of it between me and you. This is what's happening to us right now. This is not only a local problem, this is a global problem. This is a global problem that is happening east and west. This is all because we have missed. وَكَانُوا يُسَارِعُونَ فِي الْخَيْرَاتِ وَيَدْعُونَنَا رَغَبًا وَرَهَبًا وَكَانُوا لَنَا خَاشِعِينَ. When we miss the khushu' in our life, when we miss the khushu' in our salah, when we miss the khushu' in our supplication, when we did not cry رَغَبًا وَرَهَبًا to Allah in our dua for our children, this is what happened. We become so materialistic. The father, the mother, the mom, the dad's own interest is above anything else. How I'm gonna survive in terms of darar and sins is what matters for me. Am I going to have the upper hand financially, or I'm gonna lose it? That's what we care about. That's what you will see in the family courts, unfortunately. When that took place, the birr al-walidain, the birr of our children disappeared. Because when the children see parents fight on the financial matters, when they see the rahmah is missing, when they see the mawadda has gone, when they see the hanan disappeared, they themselves would have no hanan. That's why children who missed hanan early in their life are most likely to have a rough adulthood, criminalship, become criminal, or they become individuals with mental health issues that would make them suffer a lot, or would make them manifest their own lack of hanan in their life into become narcissistic individuals who cares about nothing in their life but their own selves. Trace back the roots of most of the personality disorders. You will find them that are coming from early childhood as a result of lack of hanan, love, comfort, rahmah. For Allah's sake, let's step from outside from our own selves, and let's be more mindful of Allah's haqq on us and our children. And let's be يدعون رغبا ورهبا, and let's be from those who are khashi'in to Allah Azza wa Jalla. وأقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروه فإنه استغفروه. الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستهديه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فهو المهتد ومن يضلل فلن تجد له وليا مرشدا. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما صليت على سيدنا إبراهيم وعلى آل سيدنا إبراهيم، وبارك اللهم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما باركت على سيدنا إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم إنا عبيدك يا رب، أبناء عبيدك، أبناء إمائك، يا رب نواصينا بيدك، ماض فينا حكمك يا رب، عدل فينا قضاؤك. نسألك اللهم بكل اسم هو لك سميت به نفسك، أنزلته في كتابك أو علمته أحدا من خلقك أو استأثرت به في علم الغيب عندك بأن تجعل القرآن العظيم ربيع قلوبنا يا الله. اللهم اجعله جلاء لهمومنا وأحزاننا يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم هب لنا من أزواجنا وذرياتنا قرة أعين واجعلنا للمتقين إماما. يا رب أوزعنا نشكر نعمتك التي أنعمت علي وعلى والدي يا رب، وأن أعمل صالحا ترضاه، وأصلح لي في ذريتي إن تبت إليك وإنني من المسلمين. يا رب اهدنا واجعلنا سببا لمن اهتدى يا رب. اللهم اهد أبناءنا واجعلهم هداة مهديين يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم ألف بين قلوبنا على طاعتك ومحبتك ومرضاتك فإنك على كل شيء قدير. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين، وأقم الصلاة.
الله أكبر الله أكبر.